Hello, Rebecca Richardson for the Finance News Network. Joining me for an update from diversified mineral explorer Scandinavian Resources is Chairman Damian Hicks. Damian, welcome to FNN.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Can you start by introducing Scandinavian Resources?
Sure. Scandinavian Resources is a company that we listed on the ASX in April 2010. Its market cap at the time was about $12 million, and as at today it's worth about $60 million. And we definitely believe it's on the way to much greater value in a short time. Primarily it's an incubation company of lots of projects in Sweden and Norway. But the project that's taken the market sort of attention is the Kiruna Iron project in far northern Sweden.
And Damian, what's an Australian company doing in Sweden?
It's a good question I'm always asked. It's actually a Swedish company that's listed on the ASX. So that's the way I like to look at it, because all of our staff live in northern Sweden. The majority are Swedes or Norwegians, and there's nothing that the Aussies or Australians can contribute to the expertise of the Swedes other than maybe some encouragement and some additional capital. So whilst we're listed on ASX, it's more than likely that in due course we will probably transfer our listing to either the Oslo Bourse, the First Nordic Exchange in Stockholm, or to London's alternative market. The other thing is that Scandinavian is all about, has been built around one person, and he's a fantastic chap from Sweden. His name's Olof Forsland. So Olof ran all of Sweden's data. So when we teamed up in 2007, I said, Olof, you do whatever you like, I'll find the money, and let's go and find some big mines. And that's pretty much how we started, and we're still going strong today.
You've just announced the acquisition of 2 projects in northern Sweden. What was the consideration?
Yeah, sure. The consideration for the June transaction was $6.5 million US, and that was from a Swedish company called Grängesberg Iron. And the consideration for the acquisition from Anglo American and Rio Tinto last November was $7 million US. So we raised $6.5 million in the IPO. We're acquiring these projects. We're joint venturing into new projects, and we're spending a lot of money on drilling. So yeah, very rapid progression for the company.
Who did you acquire them from?
We acquired the Rackery project from Anglo American and Rio Tinto, and that project is only 7 kilometres from the town of Kiruna and all the modern iron infrastructure. Anglo and Rio sold the asset because they were looking for copper. And ultimately the copper was too small to be material to them, but all the copper's hosted in iron. So it's actually going to probably turn into a 100 million tonne iron deposit 7 kilometres from the largest iron mine in Europe. So for a junior company, that's a great space to be in. In terms of the Grängesberg Iron portfolio we acquired in June, their projects all join our existing portfolio, so it's really bolt-on acquisitions to try and get the scale we need to become meaningful. And absolutely not afraid to say that we've stolen this strategy. It's a pretty basic strategy, but it's a strategy made famous in the Pilbara region by Fortescue Metals Group, by Atlas Iron, by Brockman, by Aquila, by Duralia, all these guys that picked up for low cost assets that were considered non-core to BHP and Rio Tinto, and in a very short period of time, measured in 5 to 7 years, they've gone from zero market cap, in the case of FMG, to be one of Australia's largest market cap stocks. On a micro level, it's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to secure all of the old iron deposits in Europe's #1 iron district that were considered non-core by the major mining company, but for a junior are very, very significant, and hopefully we follow the same trajectory.
Thanks. So how much iron do they contain?
Basically, we aim to put out a JORC inferred resource at the end of July. We've just completed 10,000 metres of diamond drilling, and it's our expectation that JORC resource will be somewhere between 200 and 250 million tonnes of inferred resources. Plus an exploration target of something similar. For the rest of the year, we're going to do another 10,000 metres of diamond drilling, and it's our expectation that early in the new year we'll have roughly 500 million tonnes of inferred JORC resources, subject to all the exploration success and the acquisition. So that's quite a meaningful number. They're all open pit opportunities, and having a number of different deposits in that area gives us the flexibility to manage weather, manage the requirements from the community, and manage the path of the reindeer herders during the year, which is always something we need to work within. Our closest iron deposit to the Kiruna town is only 7 kilometres. So that's 7 kilometres from rail, 7 kilometres from skilled workforce, 7 kilometres from power, and really that's where we'd like to start our future. At Rakkarioki is the project name. Alternatively, at a project that we recently acquired from Grangersburg Iron called Ekströmsberg. So it'll be a bit of a balancing act at this stage.
And being Sweden, it can get pretty cold over there. Does drilling stop during winter?
The best time to be drilling is in winter, because what happens, there's 2 periods when you can't drill, and that's the melting period, when the ice is melting, because obviously you fall through the lakes and you sink in the boggy ground, and when it's really snowing very heavily. But winter is the best time because the ice freezes, creates a very hard base, and essentially you can drive your track-mounted diamond drill rigs wherever you like without disturbing the surface, because then the ice melts and you've left no tracks. So whilst it's very cold, less than 30 below at times, it is actually the best time environmentally and supported by the Sami villages to do your exploration. In the summer, when it's there's no ice, generally you have to use helicopter-mounted or transported drill rigs, or drill very close to existing roads.
On to corporate matters now, Damian. The project sounds like it's going to require a lot of capital. What's your funding position?
Yeah, our funding position is quite strong because one of our largest shareholders in Scandinavian Resources is a manganese mining company called OM Holdings. And OM's a fantastic company. It's mining manganese in the Northern Territory, but it has also made a very large investment in an iron mine in Norway. That's owned by Northern Iron, another ASX listed stock. So we have the support of Northern Iron, we have the support of our founding shareholders, but I have to say a lot of attention is now coming to us from Oslo, from Stockholm and from London. So I honestly believe that in the future the funding will come from the investment banks that would like to take us from explorer to developer to miner in their backyard, because they understand the jurisdiction, they're very comfortable with the geology, they're comfortable with the capital markets, and because they can see the company is so undervalued relative to its peers who are operating there now, they're quite happy to come in at these levels and above. So we're going to need a lot of capital. Make no mistake, much like the iron miners in the Pilbara region, but if you have the quality assets, you have the right capital structure and corporate plan, I think it can be managed quite well.
And are you looking at joint venture or partnering options?
Not joint venturing out our ground. We're always looking to come into more opportunities ourselves. However, if we're going to bring Rakkarioki or Ekströmsberg into production in 2015 or thereabouts, there may need to be some cooperation shown by a number of parties in the district.
Last question. What's the priority for Scandinavian Resources for 2011?
Yeah, drilling to increase the size of the resources and maintaining our capital structure so that in 2012 we're fully funded and we're moving towards development opportunities.
Damian Hicks, thanks for the introduction.
Thanks, Rebecca. Pleasure.